How do you see the topics that you discuss in Who's Afraid of Gender bearing on the election and the election's outcomes, obviously?
Yeah. Well, I think, I'm not sure there has to be a direct bearing on my book and the elections, um, because in my mind, politics is larger than um, elections, although elections are really important, and this one is especially so. Um, but Trump is somebody who sought when he was president to uh, stipulate that what's called gender should actually be understood as sex, and that sex should be regarded as immutable. And he tried to put it into law. And even his own Health and Human Services Department told him that he couldn't do that. That is just not right. It won't work. That there are too many things that get in the way of that. Um, and I think that uh, the politics of hatred, of stoking hatred, of finding hatred exciting or exhilarating, uh, rely on casting aspersions on minority communities or vulnerable communities more broadly. So people who are already vulnerable in this world are then subject to hatred or to vicious forms of degradation at the level of language, but sometimes uh, in through action, through violence and discrimination. I I think that Trump speaks so many falsehoods, and we have to ask ourselves, why is it people are ready to believe falsehoods? What is it about his lying in particular that leads people to accept what he says? And I guess my theory is that they actually know he's lying. They know he's exaggerating. They know that nothing grounds many of his claims, but they're thrilled with the idea that he's able to say whatever he wants and make it seem true, even though there's no evidence to support it, and even though it's incoherent, right? So he defies standards of evidence, non-contradiction, uh, coherence all the time. And I think that there are people who are angry or feel under-recognized, who support Trump and feel that he defies all the usual laws. And so they vote for somebody who uses the law to his own advantage and also doesn't actually believe in constitutional law or hold himself accountable to basic standards of evidence. So I think we haven't thought enough about that right-wing that right-wing thrill, that sense of exhilaration that people get with their MAGA rallies and the like. But I think there is a kind of hatred of education, clearly of the elites, but also a hatred of the left, its progressive programs, what seems like censorship or super egoic maneuvering on the left. They want to be free to hate. They want to be free to be irrational. And he represents that very dangerous and misguided form a liberation. I think those, what I call fascist passions, like you can have fascist passions running through a democracy. You don't have to have a fascist state to have fascist passions running through the populace. But anti-gender on the right is a fascist passion, in my view, and it's one that propels people to accept increasingly authoritarian regimes and to question the value of constitutional democracy itself, including the the separation of powers, for instance. So to the degree that Who's Afraid of Gender does try to assess the kind of phantasms that are circulated to provoke and escalate fascist passions, I think we can draw an analogy to what Trump and Vance do when they start spouting lies, and when they start making hatred exciting.